Chapter 5. Grayle. After Caden had walked out of my house and gone to his store at my insistence, I felt as though I had done the wrong thing. I needed him here with me today. We hadn't talked about anything that made sense in our lives. How we were going to move past the latest developments, for example. What he thought about being with me and raising a baby together. Caden did seem hesitant at the notion of a baby. However, was his caution because of Austin? Caden did make it clear that he wasn't sure about anything as long as Austin was hanging around, and I could understand that. Caden was oh so young with so much promise for the future, and why would he want to be confined with all of my problems? I could never know the answers unless we had time to talk. One night and a few hours couldn't cover everything that had to be said. As soon as Caden drove away, I received a call from Austin. At first I wasn't going to take his calls, but when he rang my phone over and over and left messages, stating that it was urgent that he speak to me, and then the texts came in, I said, "What the hell?" I decided to speak to him. It was a mistake. I hadn't been ready for him. At first I knew what I'd say. That I was with Caden now, and we'd made an arrangement, and now it was over between us. I guess you know everything. It doesn't make sense for me to try and deny that I've been unfaithful to you on more than one occasion, and now I'm admitting that I am bisexual. I know I should have confessed that before, but I thought you'd leave me. I felt exhausted from the workout I'd gotten from Caden, and how I'd enjoyed him inside me. It was as if we were meant to be together. Yet I had these conflicting feelings for Caden. I didn't know how to live with a man his age. I had gone out, done things I wasn't proud of when I was Caden's age, but then that was my life, and I had to carry my own burdens, just like Austin was expected to carry his. I couldn't imagine Caden staying in on a Saturday night, sitting around with me, reading, or having endless movie nights with my friends. Most of the men I knew were my age and had done all the hanging out bar scenes, picking up men, but not Caden, and now he was the only single one in my circle. My thoughts were running rampant as I tried to listen to my head, and Austin too. Unfortunately, Stephanie told me everything. Well, not exactly everything. You can never know all there is about a person. I just wished that you'd held up your end of the bargain. You could have told me that you're bisexual. Would you have asked me to live with you? Probably not, but I had the right to know. It really wasn't that you were bisexual. It was because you were unfaithful. It didn't matter to me that you were with a man or woman. It was because you weren't having sex with me and chose to be with someone else when we'd made a commitment to each other. Maybe we can come to another agreement. I didn't know where Austin was going with this, but I was curious at what he thought I would accept now. My interest was purely selfish. I wanted to know what he was going to do about the baby. Grayle, I know we can't go back to the way we were, but we can agree on one thing, I hope. And that is that we don't want to see my baby adopted. It can be our baby if you agree to marrying me. What the fuck? This is a new one, I thought. Go on. Then we both can be the parents, and you will have legal rights to the baby too. You want me to marry you? Well, I don't want to marry you because I've fallen in love with someone else. So have I. Austin's words jarred me, but they didn't hurt. Nothing about what Austin had done while we were so-called together hurt anymore, and that was refreshing, but to marry him would be to betray Caden. Look, Gray. You and I know it's over, so why can't we do something that's going to benefit the both of us, and after we adopt my child, then we can divorce. You know I will never be around to take care of the baby and give her the love she needs, and you will be. We can make this work. You draw up the papers and I'll sign them. You can put a clause in the papers about when we'll get a divorce. What do you say? I have to talk to my boyfriend first. Are you talking about that boy? What's his name, Caden or something or the other? You know he dislikes me with a vengeance. Yes, but he loves me and he's honest. I couldn't help throwing that in. I thought I'd wasted years with Austin, but it wasn't a waste when I knew I would have a child in my life to care about. I thought about my father and how he wanted to see a grandchild, and that was one of the reasons I thought about entering into an agreement with Austin. As I said before, I have to talk to Caden because he will be a part of my life going forward, and he should know about what I'm doing and why. I'll call when I return to Nevermore. I should be there next week. Try to give me an answer then. Okay. What about Stephanie and the baby? I'm with her now at the hospital. She just had a baby girl. We're going to name her Amy. After Austin and I closed our conversation because we didn't have much to say to each other anymore, and because if it had gone on any longer than necessary, we would, or I would have said things to him that were unnecessary, because it was over between us, if you didn't count the marriage ceremony and the baby I was contemplating in the future. I was finally happy and free to see Caden without feeling that I had to uphold my obligations to Austin. I wanted to see Caden, and I had to tell him that we could go on with our lives, but for two minor intrusions: a marriage to Austin and his baby. When I thought about it from Caden's point of view, that of a young man, I wouldn't blame him for nothing he did. To say I was shocked to see him in a man's arms, my height, my age, I guessed Caden liked men tall and older. It never occurred to me that he would want another man other than me. To say that I was full of myself and overconfident when it came to Caden was an understatement. My eyes and face screamed with jealousy when I glanced at the handsome dude with the tattoo sleeves covering both arms. He had the hardest biceps but the softest and weakest handshake. I thought he was a submissive or bottom, and because I was one, I was sure Caden had been fucking him and didn't tell me about it, especially since I'd been disappointed by Austin and thought Caden had turned from me since he'd heard that conversation on the phone between me and Stephanie about the baby. I projected all that I thought Caden was because of Austin, and because of Austin, I didn't trust Caden. Things were getting too fucked up between me and Caden, and they were about to get worse. I narrowed my gaze, furrowed my brow at him, and stood as if I'd been struck by lightning. After he introduced me to Brian, along with Caden, gave me the impression that he and Caden had a thing together. I was so fucking jealous and upset by all that was happening to me now, that I didn't say what I'd gone there for. I didn't take him aside and talk to him, but instead, I allowed my insecurities, lack of confidence in why Caden would want a man my age to color my feelings and destroy everything between us. I should have been the one to let that guy know that Caden was mine. I read Caden's expressions. He wanted me to do something, and I should have been the mature one, but I acted like my 20-something self, full of hesitancy and indecision. Wanting something I hadn't worked for, entitled. After a few words with Caden, I gave in easily and walked out. When I reached my car, I realized that Caden was too precious to throw away.